Okay, so like I said, this is the Write to Learn Q&A webinar, and I'm just going to mute the lines really quick.
The leader has muted your line. To unmute your line, press #6.
Okay, so first off, like I said, my name is Matt Gill, and I manage Write to Learn. So if you ever have any questions about Write to Learn, please email me or call me, and I'll have my contact information at the end of this PowerPoint. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was just the state requirement. So just a reminder, Write to Learn, it is required for all students in grades 5, 7, and 10. And students must submit 2 separate essay submissions. So you as the teacher, you would either create or select 2 different essays, and then your students have to write to both of these essays, click get feedback, and then that counts as a submission. So it doesn't matter how many words they type, it doesn't matter what essay you choose, it doesn't matter if you write your own. As long as the students write something and click get feedback, it will count as a submission. And they just have to do this to 2 separate essays, or essay prompts I should say, sorry. And the students have any time between the beginning of the year and April 30th to complete this. So you can have the students log in anytime before April 30th to write to 2 different essay prompts. And just want to talk about the flexibility of Write to Learn. So it does not matter how you use Write to Learn. You could have it as a standalone assessment, but how we picture it is that it goes right along with your curriculum and instruction. So whatever you're talking about in class, you can create an essay prompt about that, and students write essays to that, so it actually goes along with what you are doing in class. Teachers can assign any essay prompt, including user-authored, which means if they create a prompt, they can use that. Essay prompts must be used for compliance purposes. And also in Write to Learn, there's summary activities where the students read a passage or read a story and then they summarize it. Those do not count for compliance purposes, but for 5th, 7th, and 10th graders, they can use summary activities as much as you want them to. But the only thing that counts are essay prompts, students writing essays to essay prompts. Teachers, you can adjust passing thresholds and support features, so you can make it so it's harder to pass, easier to pass. If you have a class, you can separate them into 2 different classes, make it the passing threshold easier for some of the students, harder for the others, just to accommodate for them. So you can do anything like that. You can increase or decrease the minimum and maximum word count. Yeah, you can do all of that. Students, I know this was a problem at the beginning of the year, but last week it did get fixed, so this should be fixed by now. But students can copy and paste their responses into the program, so hopefully that is working now. And Write to Learn, it can be used in any classroom. It doesn't have to just be English, it can be science. There's science prompts in there, there's social studies prompts in there, there's Common Core prompts, ELL prompts. And when we go out to the program, we'll show you that in more detail. And I see I do have a couple questions. Oh, sorry, someone just asked about audio. I'm just going to tell them the phone number really quick. Okay, and there was a question about iPads. I'm just going to wait a little bit for once Sue starts talking. Okay, and for logging in, if you need your login information, contact your district testing coordinator. At the beginning of the year, I sent them their admin username and passwords, and when they go in, they can create teachers, they can delete teachers. They set the teacher's username and password, so if you can't remember your username and password, talk to your testing coordinator and work with them on what you want yours to be. And they will also get you your URLs for the teacher and student interface. And if you are the testing coordinator, you will need to enroll students into your class. Oh, sorry, misread that one. So it doesn't matter who enrolls the students into the class, either you can do it or the testing coordinator can do it. So once students are created in the program, you can enroll them into a class. All right, and just a reminder, you must follow this protocol. So if your students are not in the program, their username needs to be the 9-digit SIMS number, which is the state number that they get from Infinite Campus. And the student password will be the first 4 characters of their last name plus the first 4-digit birth month and day. So let's say a kid named Alex Smith was born on 3/14. His password would be SMIT0314 for March 14th. And a question came across, is there a way to see what other attendees are asking? At this point, not yet, but at the end, if you want to tell people who you are, you can. We'll open the phone line so you can ask. If you have more questions, you can ask them in person. Okay, and then special education students. With these students, you follow the student's IEP. So if on the IEP it says that they can use WriteToLearn, go ahead and have them use WriteToLearn. You can modify assignments. So maybe you have a 7th grader and they need 5th grade prompts. You can totally do that. You don't have to. You can use any prompt in there. It doesn't need to be for the specific grade. No accommodation will invalidate the assessment. So even if you put on all of the accommodations, it would not invalidate it. And if your students take the Dakota Step A, D-Step A test, then they will also do the alternate writing assessment, and this will follow similar guidelines. There's 2 submissions, and if you want more information, you can go to that website right there, which is just doe.sd.gov/OATS/altassessment.asp. So go to that website, and that will take you, or then you'll be able to go to the alternate assessment website to get more information. Also, if you have questions about the alternate assessment, contact Michelle Martin. She's the one that works with it, and her email is just michelle.martin@state.sd.us. All right, and Sue, are you able to?
I'm here.
Get there?
Now, let's count this as a sound check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, well, I'll take it from here. Hello, everybody. My name is Sue Cowell, and I manage Pearson's WriteToLearn product, and so I'll be covering the content from the next few slides. This one here talks about the various reports available in WriteToLearn so that you can get a fuller understanding of student usage and performance gains that you see through the use of WriteToLearn. One thing I will just want to remind you of is that while Matt was very clear on the requirements set forth by the Department of Education, this is a tool available to use with your students throughout the year. So you can certainly use it as much as you like. And while the essay topics are the ones that you need to focus on to meet the requirements set forth by the DOE, you certainly can use the summary writing component as well to help build reading comprehension, but also because And those that are argument-based prompts, well, actually, we make it available for any prompt. But new in Write to Learn this fall, we created a new field dedicated for students to cite their evidence, but it can also be used to cite references as well. Keep in mind that there is such a focus in the area of science and social studies and writing in these areas, and there are a tremendous amount of prompts within Write to Learn that fall within these subject areas. And again, a little bit of last match to go online to Write to Learn, and we can show you, or he can show you, how you can identify the common core like prompts and how you can search for specific prompts related to the science and social studies. We also went ahead and created a new Common Core guide for teachers. That's available in the documentation within the application, and it's really a guide to help teachers to use the tool most effectively in support of examination. Okay, next one. One of the other areas that we've spent a considerable amount of time enhancing So we're going to talk specifically about essay scoring and summary scoring, and we'll start with essay scoring. Next slide. All right. So for those essays within WriteToLearn that produce scores on various traits, and again, if you're talking about some of the new EL prompts, it's either 4 traits, or some of the standard prompts, it's 6 traits. We actually, for every prompt within WriteToLearn that produces those kinds of scores, they've been trained on hundreds, oftentimes hundreds and hundreds of student essays that were written to that specific prompt and professionally scored by human scorers. So it would be people who score this state writing, state writing assessment. And what they're really looking for is they're really looking at the quality of the student's writing by determining the language features that humans naturally can evaluate. And it's most important that we find human scorers, that we can find some human scorers that actually agree with each other. Writing is actually very subjective, and to find 2 human scorers that agree 100% on how a subset of essays should be scored is actually quite challenging. But once we find those human scorers that really, can score the same way and look at the quality of the writing the same way, then we ask them to score those hundreds of student responses written to that prompt. And from there, we actually train our engine to look at those same elements of writing, the same attributes of writing, when a new sample comes in. So we train our engine, and then a student writes a response to a prompt, and when they click that little submit button at the very bottom, what's happening is it actually is comparing to those hundreds of twice scored samples or responses, and it's looking for ways for aspects that of similarity between what they wrote and those pre-scored samples. So sometimes when people say, how can a computer score writing, I'm very happy to report to them that it's actually based on the gold standard, which is humans who help us to train or calibrate our scoring engine. Okay, next slide. So the next question you might be thinking about is, well, if you need those samples to produce good, rich feedback, So when a student composes something, it clicks that get feedback button. In the split second, what WriteToLearn first evaluates is, can the engine for this essay? Is it too long? And actually, we do have a length limit. It's 1,200 words. Oh, excuse me. I'm jumping ahead of myself. But in this case, we're looking at the length to see whether it's long enough to evaluate the student's skill level. So if the sentence or two, we really can't. That's really not enough for us to make an accurate evaluation of the student's skill level. Is it a good faith attempt? Well, if they just laid off on the keyboard and pressed random keys, we will recognize that as really not being a good faith attempt. Is it on topic? Again, this is for those that are specifically trained for fixed trades. And we can, if the student wrote a beautifully composed piece on what they did on their summer break, but it was really an argument-based talk on what is pros and cons for school uniform, we will recognize that, because keep in mind, it wouldn't match any of those samples that we're about to compare it to. And does it match the expectations for ethics written to this prompt? Again, that's why that collection of student samples is so important, because that collection must represent, for the most part, the range of scoring we're expecting to see based on the grade level, and also the range of responses we're expecting to see. Okay, next slide. So when does WriteToLearn say it can't score it? When it's trying to validate it? Well, if it's too short, if they're fewer than 50 words, we're just not confident in our ability to score that student's writing. And what we say is that the student needs to write a longer response in order to get feedback. And as I was starting to say on the previous slide, if the student has written far more than we're expecting, and that would be our limited set at 1,200 words, and at this point, we give feedback to the student that says they really need to edit his or her work, or just try and be more succinct in their writing, so that we can be more successful in scoring and getting proper feedback. All right, next slide. The other thing that can throw things off a little bit is caps. If the student has the caps lock key on and they're writing an essay, one of the things that we look at to evaluate when one thought stops and another thought starts is when the student capitalizes the first word of the very next thought or sentence. And so having everything in caps really is not, it makes it very challenging this because this is really highly unusual. It doesn't really look like the kind of writing we're expecting to see from that grade level. Again, to be really successful with WriteToLearn, consider finding a prompt that's closest to your student's skill level. So it doesn't have to be necessarily their grade, but their skill level. Okay, next slide. Unique is another thing that sometimes can throw you off, and it just says, this essay may be off topic, and make sure that the student responds to the prompt, making certain that they stay on topic. And again, that next bullet really refers to what I was mentioning when the response really doesn't look like anything we've seen before, and at that point, really, you, the teacher, should evaluate the essay. Alright, next slide. Okay, along with the trait feedback, just as a reminder, WriteToLearn provides feedback in terms of spelling, grammar, and repeated ideas. Alright, so I think that kind of sums up the essay feedback. And again, I just wanted to share with you because every once in a while things will come back where they're not horrible, where the students receive some kind of a warning message. And I wanted to alert you as to why sometimes that happens and how your students can be most successful with the program. Now we'll go on to summary feedback, and Matt, if you'll advance the slide. For summary writing, it's quite simple. WriteToLearn shares what the students wrote. In each one of the sections assigned to a reading passage. And it looks at it to determine how well they did at covering the main ideas or relevant concepts from that reading passage. So it just, we want to encourage students to use their own words. The engine is sophisticated enough to know that if they do use interchangeable words with the same meaning, such as doctor and physician, cardiologist and heart surgeon, the engine understands that those kinds of words have the same meaning, and it can evaluate whether the students called out those main ideas from those key sections of the reading passage. Okay, next slide now. In addition to that, we also can look for copy parts, and this is where WriteToLearn highlights, where the student used 7 or more words taken from the original reading passage. That is the default setting, but you can lower that to a huge size and as many as 15 words, but that's an excellent tool to help teach students the importance of using their own words when summarizing. Spelling highlights potentially misspelled words, and I have to say that this slide is just slightly outdated because just this fall we also added grammar checking onto the summary writing side. So we have that available too. And then it can identify ideas that have been repeated and also unimportant information that's really not adding a whole lot of value to the overall summary. So those are really the way in which we score essays and feedback and the kinds of editing tools available along with trait feedback that WriteToLearn provides. And that might wrap it up for me. I'm not quite sure. Okay, here you go. So I'll turn that back over to you at this point.
All right, thank you, Sue. And did you want me to go out to the live site to show out any of that?
I think that would be a good idea while it's fresh in our minds.
Okay.
You could go out to the teacher interface in particular to demonstrate where they can find these different types of activities.
Okay, and Sue, while I'm going out there, if you could answer this question, There's a question. She says that iPads, they're still having issues with the cut and paste with their iPad users. Any suggestions?
Gosh, you know what would be really helpful, and Matt can certainly even give you my email address at the end. I would be very interested in getting more detail, the browser that you're using, to give us a better idea of what's happening when you're out there, and for us to try and replicate it to see whether we can identify where the problem is and get that fixed. And this is the cut and paste.
I'll open it again. Yep, the cut and paste on iPads.
So Matt, if possible, would you be able to connect this caller directly with me so we can ask them some more specific questions to help us try and replicate the issue and try and help them along?
Okay, and then another question is, students frequently are frustrated while using the spell check. They will click ignore for proper nouns, yet those items continue to come up as misspelled words. Is there an app for that? Or what would you suggest for that?
So how the ignore works, these are works within WriteToLearn, is that it's supposed to be doing just that. That if the student types a word that is a proper name, or even a word that maybe isn't in our dictionary and it flags it as misspelled, if they ignore that word, WriteToLearn begins to build a little dictionary specific to that writing activity that says this student has chosen to ignore this flag and says that it is indeed spelled correctly. And if that's not happening, again, we absolutely need to know that. Let's work through Matt and find out, because I don't know of any, or I'm unaware of any known issues where the ignore button is not working. So we do need to look into that. And again, the first thing that support will ask is, what device are you using? What browser setting are you using? So there are specific details that we'll need to capture in order to make certain that we're identifying those problems. Now, one thing I should note, though, is let's just say that student, the word Karen they're spelling the name Karen, and they happen to be spelling it Caron. And that's coming up as a misspell, and so they should ignore that word, and then they can continue to use that name, Karen, as it's spelled, without it being flagged as misspelled going forward. That is only specific, that single activity. If the student engages in another essay writing activity and uses that same name again, the very first instance, it will be flagged as a misspell until the student ignores it, and then again, it will remember that name in association with that activity as being properly spelled. Okay, so what Matt has up in front of you now is when you're searching for essays that with the common core lines, I wanted him to kind of show how you could identify them. And so there he's searching on the type of essay. That happens to be looking at all grade levels and across all subject areas. And then if you look and you can go there highlighted in yellow under description, it will actually say for Common Core practice. So look at those. That one happens to be giving overall scoring, but there are ones that are available that give fixed rate feedback as well. And then the description field is really important, because that's also where
the reason it was highlighted for me is because I pushed Control F and I searched for Common Core, and then it will have them highlighted yellow for me. So notice there's a Common Core one for 11th grade, an argument. So if I wanted to search for ELL, I could just type in ELL, and there's 67 choices. So if I scroll down, here's an ELL expository right there. I can even just click next. And then here's another one, an autobiography. So you can search for it. It'll just say ELL in the title right here. And then also the 6 trait ones, you can see that over here in the description. It tells how it will be scored. And yeah, pretty self-explanatory on there. And just wanted to also show you, if you want to search just for ELL, you can do that for the type. If you want to search for summary, this is English language development, right, Sue?
That's correct. That's correct. And then you'll see a matching set of a reading passage, one that's marked for English language development. And for those English learners that are a little bit more advanced, you'll see the same reading passage available for English learning. And it's just simply that will be the text will be a bit longer, the vocabulary a bit more rigorous, and basically just the overall text maturity greater. The other thing I think we should point out to Matt, just to make sure everybody's clear on that, is if Matt scrolls down onto the type column, there is content now called long, and that content, so we have quite a few WriteToLearn users, are also Pearson Longman users who have adopted the Keystone Cornerstone series for English learners. And so they can use their textbook to identify the reading passages and the prompts, and then use WriteToLearn to, when they're constructing their response, and use, there we go, and use WriteToLearn scoring to score activities that are found within their textbook. So I just want to call that out so you know what that content is. And you can see over there in the far right-hand side, they'll say textbook required, and it gives the details about the additions and the kind of feedback to the text that you receive for those types of activities. Matt, if you could also go into teacher-created prompts, we can just show them real quick about the prompt writing guidelines.
Yeah, so just to show you right here, if you did create a prompt, you would choose user authored. And just an example, oh man, I just need to log in again. It's very protective. So where I was assignments, and just choose your class, select activities. Just getting to the screen that I was at. So if I select all, and user authored, and then click find, these are all the ones that I've created as a teacher. So that's just how you find them, and then you'll see them all right there. Tells who it's created by. And to create those, if you click on prompts up here on the top, or from the home screen, there's a prompt tab. You can click that, but you click on prompts, and this is where you can create your own prompt. So Sue, if you want to talk about this, you can, or add whatever you want.
So let me just add this. This is a fairly simple screen, and the type, so just to let you know, what's in red, and you can see the word prompt, the title, the grade level, those are required fields. What's in black is optional. So, and also to let you know that the URL under external resources is available so that you can go out there and select either a document, a video, an image, really anything to support that prompt. And then the label is just that, whatever you want to call it. Give it a title, grade level, and a type. And essay types, Matt, at the very bottom in red. Yep, and click on select, the drop down menu there. Oops, sorry.
Is this it or not? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, so you notice if you've been using this tool, we originally had descriptive, expository, narrative, and persuasive only. More recently, with the influence of Common Core, we did add to these essay types arguments and opinions. So if you're trying to develop a prompt that, again, supports some of those new kinds of performance tasks in the area of argument and opinion-based writing, you can certainly choose one of those two. Okay, and that was, those are really the only things I really felt like I wanted to show them.
Okay, and I'll just walk you through this really quick. So if you're creating a class, you just click on classes, create a class, or you can create a class right here, or you can just go to your class. This is where you can enroll your students. So if you click enroll students, click search. I have 122 students, so that's probably correct. And here's your students, and to enroll them in your class, you just select them like that. So that's how you do it. And if you have a student that leaves your class, you can unenroll students same way. You just deselect them. Okay. And so that's just that. Assignments, we already kind of went through that. You can assign assignments to your classes, and then once you assign it, your students can log in and take their writing, or write to the essay or the summary, whatever you have for them. And if you go to settings, this is where you can, for one activity or all of them, this is where you can add accommodations. So let's just say I'm going to this one right here. You can increase or decrease the attempts allowed for the students, so how many times they get to correct their essay. Spell check, you can turn that on or off. Grammar check, on or off. Word predictions, that's just if a student starts typing a word, it'll predict a word for them. Essay tips, some essays have that. Yeah, so you can either decide to turn them on or off right there. And to finish, I was just going to show you, I'm just going to go through these really quick just because you have access to this PowerPoint. If you aren't able to get onto the live meeting, you can email me and I can email you this PowerPoint. Otherwise, you have it in front of you. I'm just going through a couple examples. Remember, up in the handouts, you can download it if you want. These are just a couple ways that teachers around the state are using WriteToLearn. Just wanted to share them. So this teacher says, I use WriteToLearn for essay writing, but also for summaries. This was the first year I tried the summaries, and I appreciated the feedback that was given to my students. A few students commented on how they felt they wrote better summaries with the immediate feedback. She also wrote, a couple of years ago, I created my own assignments, which helped the students revise and edit their papers. I really appreciate the immediate feedback and feel like it's more helpful to the students than getting a paper back with a bunch of corrections made by a teacher. And I'll just go through these just really quick. This one says, I use it in 7th grade to reinforce the writing traits. The most benefit, I believe, is the attention to repetition in writing. WriteToLearn stresses that quite a bit. That and the fact that the more a student writes, the better the score. So obviously WriteToLearn, and I encourage elaborating the process. This teacher, WriteToLearn in my classroom, I use it as a reinforcing my writing units. When I have taught my unit in writing and already had them to do an essay, I will then have them do a WriteToLearn writing prompt. This is my way of checking for understanding of the students. It also backs up what I say about their writing. Another way that I use it is for revising an editing tool. Teaches the students what to look for in errors and improves their writing. So as you see, there's not just one way to use it. You can use it any way you want in your class. This teacher uses the persuasive writing choices during speech class to help put together persuasive speech, the school rule. For English 2, I use the narrative, expository, and the new argumentative to meet the Common Core standards for 9th through 10th grade. This one I've used WriteToLearn at the beginning of the year to get my students used to it, and we just used one of the writing prompts provided. This week we will be writing what we learned about in our DARE class, as it is a requirement from Officer Bauman, so we thought it would be nice to use it. Besides the original essay prompts in the WriteToLearn program, I make up the authored prompts for my literature lessons. We also use the summary component for work in reading short historical passages and informational text. Plus, this is an activity in paraphrasing. This one's a little long, so they use it. What we'll be writing about, students write a rough draft to fit the prompt, then they type the rough draft in WriteToLearn and revise it in the program rather than do it in notebook paper. I do have some students who are fast finishers, so I have them use their summary prompts. This way they are working on learning to choose the important things to include in the summary. I grade them based on the scores WriteToLearn gives students, and I always want to check it just because sometimes the grading you might not agree with it, so just keep that in the back of your mind. This is just a couple more examples. Students complete initial drafts in WriteToLearn and turn a final copy in for the teacher to grade. So it's a great way for them to work on the rough drafts. Students use the text-to-speech function to have their own writing read back to them. And this is really cool. I was in a classroom where it was all English language learners, and they didn't know English that well. So what they would do, they would type their essays or anything in the program. If you highlight it and choose the text-to-speech, it will read it back to them. So they can actually hear their writing and hear what it's supposed to sound like. So that is a very powerful tool. They can use it for that. Another one, ELA teachers collaborate with other content areas to use summary writing activities so writing instruction is consistent across the building. Some teachers hide some traits on the scoreboard so students focus on those they need the most work on. You can create ability grouped assignments and assign a summary activity as homework to prepare students for the next day's lecture. So any of that is fair game. Like we said, use as long as students write 2 essays to 2 different prompts, they meet the requirement. No accommodation will make it not count. So use it however you see fit. And if you do need more information about WriteToLearn, here's the WriteToLearn website. It's where we have all the tech requirements, we have all the videos, the recordings, all the information about WriteToLearn you can find at this website. It's just doe.sd.gov/oats/WriteToLearn.aspx. Alright, if you have questions now, you can type them in and I will turn on the phones. Also, here's my contact information. If you do need to get a hold of me, please contact me. And if you have questions about technology, so that iPad question, you should contact the technical support. Here's their phone number, their hours, there's email, chat, and other product support at the website. And the WriteToLearn listserv, if you want to join the WriteToLearn listserv, whenever I send out emails about WriteToLearn, everybody in this listserv gets them. Once you're a part of the listserv, you can ask a question over it, and other teachers will actually answer you. So it's just a way that you can talk to each other and to me. If you want to subscribe for this listserv, go to k12.sd.us. On the left side will be listserv. You click on that, and then you choose WriteToLearn from the list. And then at the bottom of that screen, you go to subscribe. So if you want to join the WriteToLearn listserv, and the website's right on here on my screen, but if you can't see it, email me and I will get that to you. I'll just send you this link. So I'll turn the phones on really quick.
The leader has unmuted your line.
Okay, and just have one question. Can students retake an essay, or do you have to recreate it in user authored? So remember, even if a student does not pass, it still counts. So if they only got a 1, it still counts. Sue, you might need to help me on this. If they create it and they do they do all 6 attempts, and they still do not pass, and the teacher wants to open it up again to the student, what would be the process for that?
Good question. They would go, so the default setting is to give each student 6 attempts. But if you choose to give them more, you can go back in and open up that activity to allow for as many as a dozen, as 12 attempts. And that takes place in the settings tool. Matt showed you that that's where you can make lots of adjustments about the scoring, feedback, and number of attempts that the student can gain. So all this maximum, but just know that they don't have to get a passing score in order for the submission to be counted against the 2 required submissions.
Thank you, Sue. All right, next question. Which submission/try do you assess for the state assessment? The first, the best, etc. And the answer to this, as long as the student writes 1 in there, they are halfway done with the requirement. So all they would have to do is just put 1 essay in there and then to another prompt write another essay, and they are done. So we don't actually look at the scores. We only see that the students did it. So yeah, the scores are only for your district. We at the state, we don't look at the scores at all. And that reminds me, at the end of the year, all the scores get erased, and at the beginning of every year, you can't get scores from the past. So make sure to save your scores. You can save it as an Excel spreadsheet. I would definitely recommend that, just because once a new year starts, we cannot get any scores from the past. Just because we don't look at the scores, they're only for your benefit. So all we look at is that the students write 2 essays to 2 different prompts.
And Matt, if I can, I'll just elaborate a little bit. I think the reasoning really behind that is just a shift from a summative type assessment to more of a formative, where the student writes, gets feedback, revises. And while the requirements are quite minimal with just 2, we really, really encourage teachers to use the program more frequently so you can see really the benefits of a formative style writing assessment.
Yes, thank you.
And we access the WriteToLearn assessment online, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't have the links, email your district testing coordinator and they can get you the links and your username and password. And if your testing coordinator needs help, they can email me and I can send them the link or the email I sent them at the beginning of the year. I sent them all the information.
And one last thing I'll add is I'm really pleased to see in some of those teacher comments that teachers are using the summary writing component. Summary writing is really the #1 way to increase reading comprehension, and that translates into better writing. And while it's not a requirement of the state, you have this tool available, and it certainly aligns to Common Core and students' ability to be able to understand and express informational text. So if you can, folks, please use these tools to your advantage and to your students' advantage.
Yes, thank you. And I have another question. It says, will the state ever look at the results to see how the school is doing? For example, like the D-STEP. And with this, we want it totally formative, and a lot of times formative, the assignments are not, or the assessment's not graded. It's just feedback and just giving the students lots of feedback on how they're doing. So we don't actually look at the scores, just because, yeah, we just don't look at it. We never have in the past, I'll just say, and we don't really intend to. So it's just for you, your classroom, and your district. All right, any other questions? All right, well, thank you for your time. It's about 4:32. Made it about around an hour, so we'll end there. If you do have any questions, please email me or contact the technical support. Technical questions, I will pass you along, or I'll tell you to contact the technical support. So if you do have questions about the technology part, please contact the tech support. And those other questions that you emailed me or that you asked, I will send those on to Sue and she will look into those, the ones that we talked about. And we will stay on the line for a couple minutes. So if you do have more questions, we will be here. All right. Well, thank you and have a good rest of the year and have a good Thanksgiving. Thanks. Sue, you there?
Yeah, I hear a ringing phone, yeah.
I know. It sounds like we're going to be calling someone pretty soon.
Yeah. I think we're good. I think that went well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for helping out again.
Oh, no trouble at all.
And I'll send you a follow-up email once I hear from them. I think there's like 2 or 3 people that, or maybe it was just one, I can't remember, but that you wanted to.
Yeah, because remember we were trying to, you did just the right thing. They need to go to tech support to get really, prompt service and for them to document all of the details. But we were also, if you recall, we were looking for a couple that we could reach back out to directly and see if we could get more information from them so that we could replicate it and see if we can get to the bottom of some of